Thank you all for joining us today and for your interest in the MFIn program. As Diane mentioned, my name's Laura Angoff, and I lead the career services and career advising for the Master of Finance students. Diane, it's amazing to hear you say you've been here for 11 years. For me, it's been over 9 now, and the time does fly. I work in the career development office, which we call the CDO. So you'll see the CDO mission here on the slide, which I'm going to read in just a moment. But I'm excited to be here with you today and to talk about the career development support you receive as an MFIn student, as well as I will touch on the career outcomes of our graduates. So I wanted to start with reading the CDO mission because I recognize that you may have different experiences with prior career development offices or career services and wanted to share our philosophy and how we work with students. So I'm going to read this. The CDO delivers a values and outcomes-driven career development experience that empowers MFINs to pursue their unique journeys and develop lifelong skills to thrive in an exponentially changing world. Through advising, employer and alumni engagement, and customized resources, we help MFIN develop the mindsets and networks that provide learning and propel their careers forward. So in other words, we really aim to act as your partner and are there for you throughout your career journey to help you not only access resources, but also develop the skills that you'll need for career success, not just in your summer internship during the program or your first job coming out of the program, but they're really going to help you throughout your career. So with that, I'm going to talk about how do we partner with you in the CDO on the next slide. Thank you. So how do we do that? One way that we do that is we provide advising for our students. So as an MFIN student, you'll be assigned a dedicated career advisor who will be a resource for you throughout your entire career journey as an MFIN student. And they'll really work with you to help customize a recruiting strategy for your own unique goals, as well as based on what your prior background is. And if you're in the career exploration phase, they will help you navigate learning about the industry so that you can discover what it is that you want to pursue. We provide career education throughout your time in the program. It actually starts 4 months prior to when the program starts. So when you get your letter of admissions to the program, we're also providing you with career education and support and access to resources. This is all to help you learn about how to recruit and how to prepare for interviews and be really successful in your job search. We build career community to help connect you with the incredible network that is MIT, MIT Sloan, and MFIN. And so we do that through our programs. Our career classes are integrated with alumni, industry professionals, and recruiters, as well as we have networking events throughout the year that give you opportunities to connect with people in market directly. There's an incredible program called the Sloan Industry Advisors Program, and these are MIT Sloan alumni, including MFIN, who are in various roles that are really active mentors and want to serve as advisors to students in a really safe way where there's no judgment. So you can talk to them about just general questions of what is it like in the work that they do, or you could do something like a mock interview with them. And then we also launched this year a Quant Mentor program specifically for MFINs. Those are second year MFIN students who have successfully completed a quant internship, who are an active mentor and resource for the new MFIN students who are interested in quant opportunities. So there are a lot of ways that we are helping to build career community in the CDO. We're also proactively sharing market insights. So we're constantly talking to employers and we share what we're learning about recruiting and hiring trends back with students. We want you to have the information that we have about what's happening in the market. And with that, we're organizing company events as well. So this is facilitating opportunities for connections with you, as I mentioned, with alumni, but we do this also directly with employers. So there are many company events on campus that are available to help you learn about different roles, organizations, and to also make connections that will help you stand out in the application and interview process. And as for the types of employers that we engage, it's across all industries. But specifically for MFINs, you can think about that within finance. We're talking to buy side, sell side, hedge funds, the bulge bracket banks. We're talking to fintech, those in sustainability, private equity, VC, management consulting, economic consulting, anything you really name it. Tech is also a growing space we're seeing more MFINs interested in. So we have relationships with companies across all those industries. So this is a broad overview of our services and how we partner with students in the MFIN program. And on the next slide, I'm going to start to walk through what your specific journey would look like as an MFIN with career support. So as I mentioned, the support starts with your letter of admissions to the MFIN program, which would be in March, 4 months prior to the start of the program in July. And we want to provide you with this support really for a couple of reasons. One is because we recognize that there are some companies and specifically functions such as investment banking that recruit really early. And so we want you to have the information and access to resources that you need to be successful in that early recruiting market. Another reason we provide this support for you is because the summer is very busy, and the more work that you can do in advance to get career ready, that often sets students up for a stronger start in the program. So we have what is called Career Foundations, which is a self-paced online career course that is designed to really prepare you for the career journey at Sloan. It starts with, career exploration resources, as well as preparation tools if you're ready for that next step to get all of your recruiting materials ready. And it's all broken out as well by industry and function. So the guidance will vary based on what your career interests are. And we include a checklist as well for you, so you can make sure that you feel like you're staying on track even before you come to campus. In the months prior to the program starting, that career advising relationship will begin. So we have monthly opportunities for you to drop in and connect with the career advising team and ask whatever questions are on your mind that you're curious about. And we also launch our initial individual advising appointments and offer resume feedback from a career advisor all before the program begins. You will also have access to recruiting resources. And this is really incredible because it gives you the opportunity to not only learn about recruiting timelines for industry and employers specifically, but it gives you the access to apply for job postings that open up early, and you're able to make sure you don't miss out on those opportunities. And another thing that we do that has been really, I think, well received and appreciated by MFIN students is career path webinars with alumni. So we do these for 3 different functional areas. Quant research and quant trading is paired together, investment banking and consulting. And this is led with the CDO, where we have a panel of MFIN alumni who are talking about each industry that they are working in, to give you general information about those career fields, how they have progressed, what their recruiting experience was like, any tips and advice that they have for you. You get it firsthand from former MFINs that were in your seat not long ago about how to break into that space. And we give you the opportunity to ask them questions directly. And all of that happens even before July. So there's an incredible amount of resources that are available to you as soon as you become admitted. We really welcome you into our MFIN world and access to support. But it doesn't stop then. On the next slide, I'll talk about what happens during summer term. So when the program starts in July, that's when you'll go through our MFIN Career Core. And Career Core is consists of 4 in-person classes led by the CDO that brings in alumni, industry professionals, and recruiters to help you discover industry opportunities and prepare for recruiting. It's a highly interactive learning experience that will have you out of your seats in every class and interacting with each other and as well as the professionals. And so it's just a lot of fun. There's a lot of positive energy around it when sometimes career and recruiting can feel sometimes overwhelming for students or perhaps daunting or stressful. It's a really fun, engaging experience that we create during the summer. You'll learn how to market yourself. You'll have the opportunity to network, and you'll complete Career Core with this solid foundation and career toolkit that will really help you be market ready. Coupled with Career Core throughout summer, you will have access to career advising support. So this includes one-on-one career advising that I mentioned, as well as resume reviews, cover letter reviews. You can have access to mock interviews and strengths coaching. So career support is really intense during summer term as you're going through Career Core, but it doesn't stop there. On the next slide, I'll speak to how the support continues throughout the program. So we will continue to have access to resources and workshops throughout the your time as an MFIn. And this is, we have these career workshops really to support your ongoing development of career skills and to help you navigate recruiting. So an example of that is we have a workshop prior to your summer internship on how to make the most of your summer internship, where we bring in alumni again to talk about what they learn from their experience about how to prepare for the summer internship and actions that you can do to position yourself for a return offer. So we'll have thematic workshops like that throughout the year, or full-time recruiting strategies session when you're in the full-time market, based on whatever the need is. So those career workshops are going to continue throughout your time in the program, as well as the individual career advising that I mentioned that is always available to you as an MFIN. And then as various times throughout the program, we do small group career sessions. And these are often done on a career skill level. So the focus might be resumes, for example, or we do it by function so that you're having a shared career interest in these small group sessions. And while I'm speaking on behalf of the CDO, I'd really be remiss if I didn't mention that career is really everywhere at MIT Sloan. So the CDO is just one piece of that. We think that Sloan does a really wonderful job of integrating career throughout your experience. So you'll learn and develop skills even through your academics, clubs, conferences, competitions, career fairs, and the broader MIT community. So there's a lot on this page here, and I won't go through it all, but I just wanted to highlight that how many opportunities there are for you to explore and experiment and to find out what your next path is going to be. On the club level, there's over 50, career and regional clubs, and those that are most popular for MFINs are the Quantitative Financial Markets Club, the Investment Banking Club, Private Equity VC, Investment Management, FinTech, entrepreneurship. I think those are the ones that come to mind as being most popular for MFINs that really help them on the career side. And then there are some really fun social clubs that they enjoy as well. Conferences and competitions are a great opportunity for you to practice what you're learning and maybe do a stock pitch or have the chance to connect with industry professionals outside of the classroom or outside of the CDO. Those can be really rewarding for students. And again, just the broader MIT community. As an MFIN, you're joining a network of over 1,000 MFIN alumni, over 24,000 Sloan alumni, and over 130,000 MIT alumni. And it's a really proud network that has a culture of giving back and supporting one another. And so it's great opportunity for you to build connections within that network. This is a lot of information, and so what we have done is created a website called Your CDO. You can go to it now at cdo.mit.edu. And this is what the CDO's effort has been to create one place where we could centralize a lot of the career happenings around MIT Sloan, and so you're welcome to look at this now. Some of the resources you would need to be a student in order to access, but there is a lot of information that you will be able to see today. And so I encourage you, if you're interested, to please check it out. You would be able to find the employment reports for the MFIN program, where you can learn about what prior MFIN graduates have accepted for their first job coming out of the program. And on your CDO, we have career resources based on your program. So there's a specific MFIN page, as well as industry pages with resources based on whatever your industry area of interest is. There's a lot to explore on this page and on this website. And so I encourage you to check it out now if you're interested, and know that it's really the tip of the iceberg as to what you can see right now. And then when you're a student, you have access to full visibility on your CDO. Great. So next I wanted to turn to the career outcomes. I just spent a lot of time talking about the career support available to you as a student. And now I want to turn to how that support translates into outcomes and what our MFIN students are choosing to do following graduation. So this right here gives us a high-level snapshot of some of the job titles and employers that have hired MFINs in recent years. We are a Master of Finance program. Majority of our students are going to work in the finance industry. And I will go on a following slide about specifically where in industry and what functions. And then you can see also the different job titles that our students are accepting for their positions. Majority of students are entering at that analyst level role into the market, but there are those who are also going at that senior analyst or associate level position, depending on what their prior background was before they came to the MFIN program. All of these companies that I see on the slide here, these represent companies who hire our students year after year. We have great relationships with them, and you'll have the opportunity certainly to connect with them and learn about roles where you could make an impact at their organizations. So world-renowned names, I think, come to MFIN, and you have great opportunities to connect with them. So I mentioned the employment reports when I spoke about the Your CDO website, and each year we do publish what our employment outcomes in. This gives a snapshot of the class of 2024. It includes both the February 2024 graduates as well as the May 24 graduates. And 98% of those graduates accepted postgraduate offers within 6 months of graduation. 100% of the Feb students did a summer internship. You can see the average salary and median signing bonus are very competitive market rates in terms of what our students are earning from compensation. And 54% of our graduates from the Feb class ended up joining their summer internship when they graduated in a full-time position. Now that number doesn't reflect the number that received full-time offers. It just reflects the number that chose to accept them. And so they went back to their internship company. And 41% of our class of 24 graduates accepted roles in a quantitative roles. So think about quant research or quant trading, that's included in that. I would say 25% accepted in investment banking. And so really 2/3 of our students are interested in more quantitative roles or the investment banking corporate finance paths. And I'll get into the functions on another slide. But if you're interested, I really do encourage you to look at the employment reports. And this data does reflect 100% of our outcomes for our graduates. So we're really proud of that we're capturing every single student's outcome in turn and sharing that data with you. These are more companies. It's just a snapshot of some of the hiring companies that have come to campus and hired our graduates recently. Almost all of these companies have hired at least 2 students in this past year of 2024, and also for each of the past 3 years. So as I mentioned, these are really strong partners. You'll see bulge bracket banks like Bank of America, Barclays, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, as well as hedge funds, Balyasny, Citadel, Two Sigma, QRT. So there's a lot of great opportunities for you to connect with employers. And in the employment report on the last page, we show a full list of all the companies that hired our graduates this year. Here you can see the types of functions that they're going into and industry. So as I mentioned, on the right side of the slide here, you'll see the industry. I'll start there with majority of students are going into the finance industry, but you can see there's also an interest in consulting. Last year, 7.7% of our graduates accepted opportunities at consulting firms. Usually those are McKinsey, Bain, and BCG, but they can also be some boutique consulting firms or economic consulting or financial services consulting like Analysis Group or NERA as well. And we're seeing a little bit of a growing interest in the tech industry too. So you'll see that there with the 6%, but largely, over 80% of the graduates accepted opportunities within the financial services space. And then as for the functions, I mentioned that there's a really strong interest in quantitative roles as well as corporate finance roles. So you can see that at the top there. Private equity and venture capital is a space that many of our students are interested in and tend to get there as a later path. But from that initial path following MFIN, they tend to find their way there through another avenue such as banking or consulting before landing in PE. But there are some MFIN graduates who go directly into PE or VC coming out of the program, as well as other roles that they're interested in. I will say what's not shown here on this slide is that there are students each year who do choose to continue education and pursue a PhD, or who decide to start a business and go more the entrepreneurial route. That's not shown on this slide, but each year there's a handful of students who pursue those opportunities, and we can support you in that as well if those are your goals. And so where in the world are these students working? The MFIn program is a global program, and so you'll see that's reflected in our career outcomes as well. The class of 2024, over 90% of students were international, less than 10% were US citizen or permanent resident, and still 50% of the class chose to stay in the United States or Canada. And I think that what is important to know when you're looking at these outcomes is that we do support students who are interested in an international job search. So, a quarter of our graduates went to work in Asia, and about 20% went to Europe. And we have strong ties with employers as well as alumni networks in those regions. And I think that it's often a question from students wondering if they can secure an opportunity in the US. And I think the answer there is that we have a lot of students who choose to do that path and are successful. And then there are also students who recognize that MFIN is a global program, and that's part of what they love about it, and they want to work internationally. And so their goal isn't always to work in the US, and you see that reflected here in our outcomes. And I think that was it, Rachel, for me. I think this might be a slide that you want to speak to, Rachel or Diane.
Yes, amazing. Thank you so much, Laura.
Yeah.
And we will get to questions in just a moment. But I see Diane popped on. Did you want to speak?
Yeah, sorry. I was trying to furiously answering great questions. Thank you so much for submitting them. We're really, glad to see them. I know there's a lot here to digest. And I know there were quite a number of questions, maybe first and foremost, just in terms of the class size and the profile. This is a great way for you to kind of get a sense. It's really a snapshot, if you will, of the class. And, I will say that, while there have been some, differences year over year. The fact of the matter is it still remains very much similar to what it has been. It's an early career, pre-professional program. Most of our MFIn students are coming directly from university, and they do not necessarily, and you do not necessarily have to come with a lot of coursework in finance, for example, or even internships in finance for that matter. As one of our finance faculty likes to say, we are looking for individuals who have great problem solving and analytical skills. We can teach you finance. So I think that really speaks to what you see here in terms of the class profile, and should absolutely give you a good gauge around what are the things that are going to, help me to thrive in the program, because that's really what it's all about. There's a lot of, deep dive into quantitative finance, obviously, as part of the curriculum. Yes, we are asking in the application, and I know I'm not going to get too much into this for this session, but there have been a number of questions about it. The fact of the matter is we are looking at everything in your application. Do not overlook one component. You should really be focused on everything that we are asking as part of the application that's required, and go ahead and take your time in submitting it, but submit it by the January 5th deadline. There's absolutely no advantage to submitting it early. We do not have a rolling admissions process at all. So I know there were quite a few questions about that. I will also just mention that, again, we look at everything, but what we're mostly focused on is what are your, the strength of your academic background. And we're looking at both your undergraduate or bachelor's level, as well as your anyone who's had advanced degrees of any kind. We're going to be looking at if you submit test scores, great. They're not required, but certainly it's up to you if you feel that that helps to support your application. And then we're also going to be looking at, what's your understanding of and passion for pursuing a course that's a deep dive into finance. What is it about the financial world and the field that most interests you or that you have knowledge about? And then last but probably not least, because again, I'm skimming over this for the purpose of this session, is you have to have excellent English communication skills. And there are many ways for us to determine that as part of the application and admissions process. We do not require the IELTS or TOEFL. However, again, if you feel that's another great data point and you want to submit them or submit a test score, that's fine. Go ahead and do that. The point I'm trying to make is that, again, this is an early career pre-professional program. We're looking for individuals who are really looking to learn more and want to pursue or launch their careers in the field of finance. And there are many ways and many sides of finance, as Laura's just described, that you could do that. So I don't know if there's any other questions that I missed, Rachel, or that you think need to be addressed further.
I think maybe you both can take a stab at a few questions we've been getting for our international students. Thank you so much for being here and for joining us. But in terms of, our application, what is the outlook in terms of international students applying to MFIN, Diane? And then Laura, given the visa situation, kind of what is the thought process for our CDO office?
Yeah, I mean, again, to be perfectly transparent, I mean, this is all new to all of us too. So we, and Laura can attest to this, I'm sure, we're not seeing any immediate impact as a result of this change. It's so recent, nobody really knows for sure. But rest assured that, both our CDO as well as our ISO, as well as just, overall MIT is monitoring this very closely. We were so relieved, really, that our students were able to get to campus this year based on other things that were challenges that were happening on the visa front for many of our international students. But, we don't know. It's too early to tell. And at this point, we have a whole team that's part of Laura's group, that's employer relations. They are working very closely with them, as well as the ISO. So, it's MIT after all. We have a lot of resources that are dedicated to our students and helping them. I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to add, Laura.
No, I think that was really well said. It's evolving, and we are really being proactive in trying to understand what is going to happen. So I think from the CDO side, there's three main ways I would say that we are supporting students. One is by proactive outreach with employers to ask them how the proclamation is impacting their hiring or consideration of hiring, or if at all, any effect to their policies. So that's something we are proactively doing, and sharing insights back that we're gaining from employers directly to students so that we can help educate and prepare and inform students. But that's happening now, and a lot of employers, they don't know themselves yet all those decisions, but that's one way that we are supporting students in that area. The other area is, thinking ahead that whether there may be a increase of interest in working internationally, and will we see a decrease in students wanting to stay in the US post the program? That's something we don't know, but in preparation for that, we're making sure that our relationships with companies internationally and in key cities like London and Hong Kong and Paris are really strong, and engaging in those networks so that we can support students. And then the third piece that I would say that really is a, thread to your whole experience as an MFIN is that career advisor relationship. So working with students on an individual basis to understand what are their goals, not only function, but geographical goals, and how can we support them in navigating that successfully. So those are all things that our team is doing really proactively as we monitor what's happening in the world.
Great, thank you. How are we doing on questions, Rachel?
Yeah, that's super helpful. I want to just point out something Laura mentioned about the individualized support here in the MFIN program, but this also applies, at this stage of the process. So you're thinking about MFIN and you're not sure about your profile. We've gotten a few just personal questions about their specific profile. So we do want to encourage you to reach out to us via email if you have some questions about your eligibility or what this would look like for you. So that applies to the admissions process as well as career supports and so many other things. So please reach out to us. And we also have a number of events coming up to really break down the application. So be on the lookout for more for us. But with that in mind, for the individualized support, Laura, we have some prospective students asking questions about, varied interests. So let's say a student is thinking about VC, but also has some interest in some other areas. What would you say the career advisors are able to do for folks that are a little open-minded when it comes to future goals?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think it's okay to be open-minded at the start of the program. I will also say some students come into the program knowing exactly what they want to do, and that's what they're focused on, and they're successful in that avenue. And other students come into the program thinking they know exactly what they want to do, and they discover something else that they didn't even know was possible, and they change their mind. And our program really supports you with that. So one thing that we're doing really early on is trying to provide you with opportunities to explore and learn about the market opportunities that are available to you. And I think one of the best ways to do that, it's not by reading blogs online. It's not by looking at company websites. It's by talking to people in the seats, doing the jobs themselves, and learning from their experience. And that's why so much of our career curriculum is integrated with alumni and industry professionals. So you have those opportunities to connect and learn about what they're doing across different roles. And so that's really what we focus on in the beginning of the program. And yes, we do complement it with resources that you can access online and in your own time, so that you can feel like you're doing your own research and preparation. But giving you the opportunity to connect with the market is a fantastic way for you to discover what do the jobs look like and feel like. And then I will also say throughout the program, you're going to have opportunities to learn throughout your academics. If you choose to do pro seminar or FinLab, which you'll have to choose one or the other, as it's an action learning requirement as an MFIN student. Those are opportunities for you to apply what you're learning in the classroom to work on real problems with employers. And that gives you another insight into the industry. And then also your summer internship experience. That's a great way for you to test if this is something that you want to continue to pursue. And while I mentioned that, 54% of students did accept and rejoin their summer internship employer, that's still about half the class that did not. And, so what they maybe realized that that wasn't the career path for them, or they realized that they wanted to work for a different company, for a different culture. And so whatever your career journey looks like, we're able to support you with it. And I think that's why we value the career advising model so much, because we recognize it's a diverse class, your interests are diverse, and so your own experience and how you navigate it will be unique, and we want to support you as an individual, not just as an entire MFIN class.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And I mean, you basically answered this question already, but maybe we can be a little more explicit when it comes to someone that's really interested in something more niche that may not be represented on some of the slides that we've shared today. What would you say your advice is, or how do the advisors handle this if it's something that doesn't necessarily fit into those buckets that they're interested in?
Yeah. Well, I think I would want to know what the niche is, right? So, are we talking about working specifically with derivatives and exotics, in a quantitative trading capacity, and that's their focus, or they only want to do distressed debt and credit and their focus there specifically, or sustainability and climate? Or is it something else that isn't a fit for the MFIN program? So I think at this stage, I would encourage you to, not only look at the employment reports, but, try to find MFIN alumni through LinkedIn profiles and see if there are people doing the work that you're interested in. We have an incredible network, not just with MFIN, but I would also lean into Sloan and MIT if you're in more of a niche space, to connect you with people in those areas, and also making sure that the MFIN program is appropriate for you. I think the MFIN program can help support MFIN students in reaching their goals that are aligned, but then there are some programs that maybe MFIN is not the fit for you. So I would need to understand what that specific niche is.
That's great. That's super helpful.
Yeah.
Thank you. It seems like we're getting through most of these questions. I do still see a few application questions, so be on the lookout. We'll be here to answer more of those questions. And then another thing that you've answered, and you did just briefly explain. So we got a few questions around, placement, and do we place folks in positions? And while the answer is that we're not a placement agency, Laura gave an overview of all the different ways students are getting exposed to employers through their coursework and through their projects and things. But can you give us any examples, Laura, of a success story around students finding their future employers during their time in the MFIN program?
Yeah. I can give you one thing that I'm really excited about that we just had 2 weeks ago is our annual MFIN networking night. And so this happens every year in September, where I think we had 30 employers and over 50 professionals from those employers come to talk just to MFIN students for, a couple hour evening event. And this is a fantastic opportunity for students to connect with a variety of different companies, different individuals there. Many of them are professionals that were not alum, and many of them are MFIN alum as well. So you can learn about how they navigated the MFIN experience. And while it is a networking event and it is not intended to be a career fair where you're talking specifically about applying for a job there, every year there's always students who find their jobs through these connections, because they're able to discover something that they weren't aware of beforehand, or they're able to, make an introduce themselves and help them stand apart in the application process. So I think that's an event that it's just really fun. There's a lot of buzz in the room and high energy, and then it really can have a material impact in their students' recruiting experiences.